What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Tesla Geek Show. I am Anwar Beck.
And I'm Eli, and on this week's episode, we are talking about so many things. One, Elon Musk is going to sell all of his worldly possessions to help accelerate the progress of getting us to Mars. We got to talk about what happened last week in the earnings call that we missed talking about, which is what Elon said is going to be the biggest moment in Tesla history ever, and more coming up next.
So yeah, dude, a lot going on in the world of Tesla.
Yeah,
Elon's been the center of attention, period. I think he broke Twitter the last few days. Why don't you sum up for everybody kind of what's been going on? People that
here's the biggest thing
happening
today. So today is May the 4th, and if you're on YouTube, you're going to be watching this episode today. So Elon's about to have his baby. He gave us a status update about an hour or two ago and said that it's coming in the next few hours. So Elon's about to have a baby with Grimes. I can't even imagine what this kid is going to be or what this kid's life's going to be like. But yeah, he's having a baby with Grimes. So that's about to happen. So major congratulations to Elon and Grimes on their new baby.
Yeah, dude. Do we know if it's a boy or girl yet?
We don't know. They haven't said, but I guess we're going to find out in a few hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Twitter in the background just in case it breaks while we're on air. So we can include that in this video.
Yeah. So definitely wishing mom and baby good health. Hopefully everything goes well, man. Nothing but good spirits out there for Elon today. Big day for him.
100%. So let's back it up a few days ago, though, to everything going on Twitter this week. And there has been some interesting things that happened, all the way from lines from the Star Spangled Banner to Free America Now to Elon talked about he's going to sell all of his worldly possessions, except for a few sentimental items, because they're holding him down, and so he can dedicate all of his time to making humanity effectively a multiplanetary species. And we're back. Tell us what's happened since he sent out that tweet.
I think basically the way I understood it is the earnings call, middle of last week or whatever, kind of was a spark that kind of began all this stuff, right? Elon, you could see, was super passionate. And we discussed it on the podcast last week. Elon, my take is he definitely is, as a CEO, as a person who's responsible for the livelihood of 80,000 plus people, clearly he's frustrated. So he vented some of that frustration on the earnings call. Definitely had some social backlash going on at the same time as well. But Elon basically, after the earnings call, just kept going. So he was tweeting about the Star Spangled Banner. And then at one point, I have the tweet pulled up here. He said, "I'm selling almost all physical possession, will own no house." And then he followed up by saying, "My girlfriend Grimes is mad at me." And she replies back, "OMG." And then he just says, "Haha." I don't know how much of that is I feel like this whole him, I took it as this guy is basically trying to refocus his life on what's important, right? I don't know if
I agree. And you know what? It's kind of interesting timing, right? This COVID crisis happens. He's having a baby. These are times where people look inward and say, okay, what actually matters?
Mm-hmm. And we all know, from the Tesla community, the Tesla fans, Tesla family, that Elon is doing all these things for humanity. He is not some guy sitting back and wanting to become a billionaire. I mean, this dude was a billionaire when he was in his early 20s, right? I don't think he's so focused on the money. And maybe this is his way of showing it. I mean,
it's 100% clear that he could retire today and own mini islands and probably the entire Bahamas, right? He's worth well over $20 billion already. He could just walk away from Tesla entirely, just make his rockets and still end up with $100 billion in 10 years. It's not even funny what his net worth is. So yeah, money's clearly not it for him.
Mm-hmm. So the traditional media definitely is taking this in a negative light. They're like, "Hey, what's wrong with Elon?" and all this type of stuff. I think this is there's a lot to the story. And unless you're Elon Musk, you're not going to know really what's going on. One of the things that I speculated on, I always know Elon, whatever actions he's doing, at times they may seem outlandish and crazy, but he's always the mission of the company and the ultimate long-term success of Tesla, I think, is the most important thing to him.
So actually, that was my kind of commentary on Twitter, is that we've seen Elon Musk kind of like lose it a little bit at times before. Like on that earnings
Mm-hmm.
call that he even apologized for later, he said, "Look, I'm working 120 hours a week. I'm struggling to get through this. This is killing me." And like, things got a little out of hand. Like he actually did kind of apologize before. And
Yeah.
we've seen him lash out when he's just like, "Screw all of you guys. I don't got time for this shit." That's not what this was. Like my immediate tweet out was like, he clearly like, he's not being just unhinged. This is strategic. I don't know what his plan is or what his strategy is, but I guarantee you he has one. And that so clearly seems to be the case because like, even when he sent out that like Free America Now, he's sending out in all caps, just something he doesn't do. Like he's intentionally being inflammatory and incendiary with this. And if he's doing that, there's a reason why he's doing it.
I don't follow Twitter as closely as you do, but I thought I heard a rumor somewhere in the Twitter sphere that what's the governor's name in California? Is it
Gavin Newsom?
Whoever,
Yep.
Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom, I guess, like tweeted at Elon saying, clearly you're not hurting from the shutdown because your stock price is like skyrocketing. And Elon's reply to that is like, what do you think now after he said something? You know what I mean? Is there any validity to that or no?
If that happened, I somehow didn't see it, which would surprise me.
You didn't see that? Oh, okay.
No. Maybe it did happen, but no, I did not see that.
The other thing that made me, I mean, like, I guess when things like this happen, I always like try to like think like Elon, like get into his mindset. You do know that at one point, like several months ago, Elon's bonus compensation package. You guys have heard about this like a year and a half ago. The board passed this insane. Elon, as far as we know, doesn't get paid a salary. His salary is $0, right? Or whatever.
And not just as far as we know, he doesn't get paid a salary.
Okay. So he basically gets compensated with stock options, right? When Tesla succeeds, he succeeds, and like the company rewards him for that success. So that new compensation package, I think it goes over, there's like 10 different tranches, but basically it kicked off whenever Tesla hit a market cap of $100 billion, right?
That's correct.
And there are a few stipulations like that you have to maintain that market cap for like a rolling 90-day average, I believe, something like that. So that's what I was thinking. Immediately my brain went to, wait, how far along are we? Maybe Elon did this on purpose to kind of like draw the stock price down just a little bit so he doesn't get that bonus. I read somewhere that it's in the ballpark of like $750 million, like $750 million is what Tesla would have had to pay him if Tesla maintained above that certain threshold. And I could totally see Elon just like sacrificing himself to kind of like keep Tesla's balance sheet or whatever, like keep
totally. Because it's best for the company. But here's the thing too. You and me had these conversations, and I had these conversations with a number of other members in the Tesla community who are watching this video right now. When they were talking about Tesla stock, I was saying to everyone in the week leading up before Elon saying this, that I thought Tesla stock was overpriced. So much so that I literally have sold all of my shares of Tesla but one. Because I'm going to remain a shareholder, but I think the current market capitalization of Tesla is too high in an economy that we just drove off a cliff. I think Tesla's fine long term. I believe in the vision, but I think the market cap on this company right now for what's happened, I mean, it's at the same price that Tesla was when it raised funds back in January? Yeah. And now we're in a world that the coronavirus has happened. The factory is going to be closed for a total of more than 2 months before it gets to reopen. We're not in the same world. So for the valuation to be back where it was, and simply because, legacy auto is going to do less in the EV space, it's not enough. It's going to come back down. I'm going to buy back in heavily, but like, again, I love the company. I love the brand, but I try my best not to be emotional when it comes to investments. And because how much I love Tesla, it's easy to be emotional about it. But in this case, I wasn't, and I was like, you know what? Like, I think the stock is too high. And then Elon came out and said it on Twitter, and I was like, hey guys, just validated exactly what I said. The man himself, the CEO of the company, said the stock was too high. Yeah, duh. Trading at over $800 a share in the middle of a point when they can't manufacture cars. They've sold all the cars that they manufactured. They don't have any more cars left to deliver. Yeah, duh. Stock price is a little too high.
Yeah. And the exact wording on the tweet that he sent out was Tesla stock price is too high, in my opinion. IMO, basically, the abbreviation.
Yep. I agree with his opinion.
Yes, but let's chat. Like, I guess, like, I've been following CNBC and all these, like, traditional financial channels. they're all again like speculating regarding, is this again going to get Elon in trouble with the SEC and all that?
So I think I've watched what the financial analysts have to say, and I'm much more interested in the financial analysts than mainstream media in general, because the finance guys understand the SEC and they understand the FTC. And from what I can tell, the answer is no, he's not going to get in trouble for this because, one, Elon has actually made a number of different statements indicating that the stock price was too high. He's done it before on Twitter, and he's done it previously in interviews. This isn't the first time. Elon just keeps it real. Also, what the real thing that I saw from the analyst that was indicating is like, look, the SEC is only interested when people are artificially inflating their stock. They don't really care when people say things that hurt their stock. Again, because here's the thing. Typically, they only care if you're saying things that aren't true that inflate your stock. If you say something that's true that hurts the value of your stock, you're actually being fair to investors. Now, people are mad because he's like, well, I think the stock price is too high in my opinion, but like, he has a right to that opinion. It did affect the stock price, but it's not pumping. The SEC is looking for pumping because pumping is something that like insiders will do to pump for their benefit. They'll sell and then retail investors get screwed. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like anytime you release news about the company, good, bad, or indifferent, it affects the stock. And Elon did make news by making a statement that he said stock price is too high. And I think it was too high.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about? This event, like the last 3 or 4 days of Elon tweeting some of the stuff. So the people that believe in Tesla, I think they're like two different groups. There's people like the group that you and I are in diehard, like we believe in the company.
The 11s.
The 11s, the truly dedicated. Or it's like this, whenever you're making breakfast, they say the chicken is involved because it has the eggs, but the pig is committed. I think the Tesla community as a whole, I'm not talking Tesla family, but the people that when I say Tesla family, I'm talking about the people that are committed. No matter what, they believe in Tesla's vision. They back Elon and what's going on, right? So it's like us, the third row, like guys that are in the, like Tesla tubers, like we believe in what Elon's doing. And then there's these like fair weather, like people that are like, I saw a bunch of backlash from people that I was surprised on Twitter this week that were like bashing on Elon because of this tweet. I was like, listen, like you got to be thinking more long term, and I think Elon doesn't care either. Like,
and what it told me was these people have not been following Elon long enough to understand that this wasn't new behavior. He's made a number of different, like as soon as people were like, I'm like, he's done this before. He said the stock was overpriced before. Yeah. And he wasn't wrong. And by the way, everything, all the gains that were lost from him saying it was overpriced are already now been regained, like not even 48 hours later.
Yeah.
All these people freaking out like, hey, Elon, you lost me this money, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he only lost you money if you sold.
Yeah.
Stock price fluctuates every day. You didn't gain or lose $1 until you sell the stock. So shut up, stop whining, and get on the boat. Like this, again, if you're going to invest in Tesla, you're investing in Elon Musk. Yep. And if you invest in Tesla without understanding Elon Musk, then you've made a mistake with your investment.
Yeah. The other way I was thinking about it, kind of analogous to Bitcoin, right? You have these people that like believed in.
Wait, real quick. Let me jump in real fast. Did you see the tweet exchange on Twitter? Because like Tesla said that Bitcoin is over. Elon said Tesla is overpriced in my opinion. And then Bitcoin responded and said Bitcoin is underpriced in my opinion. And then Elon responded with just laughing, crying emojis.
Yeah. That was hilarious, dude. Oh my God.
Because I called you when that happened. I was like, bro, did you see Elon's tweets? You're like, what? I sent you the screenshot. You're like, no way.
Yeah. But
go ahead.
So speaking of Bitcoin, again, we're not financial advisors or whatever that spiel is. We're not. Don't.
Our lawyers made us tell you that we are not registered financial advisors. We're not giving specific financial advice. We're just sharing our opinions.
But speaking of Tesla, I kind of look at it like the early days with people that believe in Bitcoin and kind of got in the true hodlers, hodls, yeah.
Hodls, yep.
I kind of see that as well, like in the Tesla realm, because I feel like this last pump that we had in the Tesla stock price in the last like 4 or 5 months ago, there's been a lot of this new attention to the stock, right? So I think there are a lot of new people that are jumping in, just like what happened with Bitcoin when Bitcoin almost hit 19,000. There's all these, and I think that's the backlash is all these new people, because there are a lot of people like me and you, Eli, that invested in Tesla early on that we're holding this thing for the next 10, 20 years type of thing with no questions asked, right? I mean, we believe in the stock into the future.
Look, I
But
wish I
that's
could
why,
invest in SpaceX. That's the only place that I'm mad. But yeah, hell yeah. This is Tesla forever.
mm-hmm. But that's kind of what I saw. Some of this backlash online is just all these people that don't, exactly what you said. They don't understand Elon Musk. They don't understand or truly believe in the mission of what Tesla's trying to do, and that's the difference. And they were very quick to turn on Elon, and I don't know. I just didn't like that, dude. It gave me the wrong taste. Like, you know what I
I'll
mean?
be
I was like,
honest. I took note. I saw the people who like were fickle and like
mm,
lashing out and being wild. I was like, okay, like I see you. Like
I
it's
see
fine.
you.
Like
Yeah,
it's fine, but I see you. Like I'll remember
yeah,
that. Like again, like it's just one moment, but like I'm now like it's the beginning of a pattern, right? Like,
yeah.
and again, I love that the stock. Like by the way, and here's the thing too. Like people were even like, oh look, Elon Musk wrecked the stock market that day. The stock market,
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, and the stock market was already down when he made the
Yeah,
comment, and it just went
yeah.
down a few more percent pretty sharply after that. But like Tesla
Mm-hmm.
was down like 4.5% already for the day. And then it went 3% down more in a down market on a down day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by the way, Tesla is not part of any of these indexes that are getting dragged down. So Elon had Tesla stock had no impact on the broader market indexes. We were
Yeah.
already in a down day. And and more likely than not, Elon's impact was actually probably only 1 or 2%, not even 3 or 4, because the whole
Mm-hmm.
market like tanked that day. Like I had a short position called I had calls on SDow, which was
Mm-hmm.
shorting the index of Dow. And I
Mm.
had a couple other short positions as well. And they did very well by the end of the day because all of the indexes went down. But Tesla didn't even
Yeah.
participate in that. And I'll tell you what, too, at that time frame, we talked about this. I said, dude, I think Tesla's so overpriced. If I wasn't a Tesla fan, I would be shorting Tesla right now.
Yeah,
And by the
yeah,
way,
yeah.
I want to highlight there are other companies that I love. I love Disney. Absolutely love what Amazon's doing. And they're clearly going to own the world. I've shorted these companies and gone long in these companies and make money. Unfortunately, the way things are with Tesla, because it's such a vision and a mission, and because you have this whole Tesla Q community who's like short and lie about the company to put it down, as a fan of
Yeah.
Tesla, I'm kind of like not allowed to short it. Even though
Yeah.
I was like at $800 and something a share, it was such an obvious play to short the stock. I still
Yeah.
couldn't do it because I couldn't betray the fans of the community because they have this perspective on it. So I sat back and missed out on making a bunch of money that I could have
Yeah.
made, and it was so obvious. And then Elon's tweet would have made me a great amount of money on a short position on an option, but I didn't do it because that's how this community is, and we love this community, and that comes before dollars every time.
Yep, definitely. What's crazy is the last few days with Elon tweeting, I've never had so many of my friends like text me and be like, "Hey, is everything okay? Do you think Elon is like bluffing about the selling his assets?" I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure." I was like,
Bro,
"I'm
I even
taking this
got a
literally."
text from Vivas about this. Yeah, he's like, dude, what do you think about what Elon's doing? I'm like, I don't know, man, but I think it's strategic. Like even people who like worked under him, who knew him, are like literally like asked like, what's going on? Like everybody's looking for clarity because they can't figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
But like it's like I'm like, well, like he's not unhinged. Like I was like, this isn't somebody who's not in control. I've seen Elon not in control. This isn't that. So like, you know, I don't quite know what's going on. But then actually, I had a great conversation with Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. He hit me up and he's like, hey man, did we freaking Howard Hughes Elon with Elon Musk Day? And I was like, oh no. And we talked about it for a bit. I was like, no. I was like, I don't think that's what happened. We got into a little bit, and he said something that really highlighted for me. And he's like, look, you know, here's what I think happened. Elon has been killing himself for the last 10 years and finally got Tesla to a point where like everything was rolling.
Yep.
Like they had the best quarter in history. Model Y turned profitable in the first quarter. And then COVID-19 showed up and just freaking threw a spike right in the middle of the tracks. Yeah. He's like, he thinks that Elon's just like, what the hell? Like it's been a decade coming of I'm fighting all odds. Everybody told me this would fail. I'm trying to push the world towards clean energy. And we finally hit a point where it's like, we're about to smash a hole in the world. And then the world turns off. And he's like, and then not to mention whatever dozen other things Elon's got going on that the world doesn't even know about. And I'm like, damn, I guess you're right. Like it's this moment, this quarter was 10 years in the making, only to have the next quarter be completely sawed off.
Yeah. And I'm sure like internally, I can only imagine like Elon is a guy that is very used to working like 120-hour weeks, all that kind of stuff. So imagine this kind of environment. I mean, a lot of my friends are calling me concerned because they know how extrovert I am. I love being around people. So all of a sudden, when you take somebody like me who's like, my oxygen is being around people and all that kind of stuff, all of a sudden, when you turn that off, I think Elon probably has the same issues when it comes to work and
To
like
work.
interacting with people and all that. Yeah. He's
By
got
the way,
that
I'm right there
same,
with you. I did not appreciate how extroverted and social I am until this happened. Like
yeah.
White Claws and Grey Goose have become my friends because like I can't actually meet up with any of them in real life. This shit's
Yeah.
driving me insane.
Yeah, I think two of the things that two main trends coming out of this COVID thing is gonna be we're gonna have a lot of people that turn into alcoholics,
Yes,
and
I'll be one of them.
COVID and the COVID 15-pound gain. The COVID 15, I think will be normal, dude.
I wish I could say it was 15. I actually
Yeah.
had to go back to my diet this last week because I stepped on the scale and it was 20.
Oh
20.
damn.
Because here's what's happened. Let's be real. Here's what happens. Like I've been buying a lot of food from local restaurants that I really love because I want to support them and help keep them in business. And I know they're going
Yeah.
to struggle to make it out of this. Like I order food from them a couple times a week. I'll order
Yeah.
like 2 things and they'll give me like a whole family platter. Like, cause like that, we were like family.
Yeah.
Like they've known my daughter since she was like a newborn. Like we see them all the
Yeah.
time. So like they just want to help feed us. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to help support you. And I feel like I'm running you into the ground because I'm paying less than what the food you're giving me is. But like,
Yeah.
so here's what happens. They give me this food. I just eat what I planned on. I maintain my portions. And then I have a few of these and self-control completely goes out the window.
Goes out
And it's midnight and I'm eating like everything in this family platter. Like I guarantee you there's been nights that I gained like 5 pounds on a single meal. I know I'm exaggerating, but like literally there's nights that I've woken up the next day and I could see it on the scale.
This was me last night. I ate dinner a little bit early. I mean, all this lunch, dinner time schedule thing is off too. So we had dinner earlier, like around 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
and then went for a run or whatever. And then midnight comes around and I'm like starving. So I go to the freezer and I think I started with put 4 like little taquito things in the oven. I finished with 8, dude. Like zero self-control. Zero self-control. I was like, I woke up this morning being like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
What can you do, man? Like
can relate to it. Yeah.
everybody's going through that right now. And by the way, if you have a funny story of where you gave into the craving, let us know. Man, early on in this, I was just like, screw it. Like life's depressing. I can't hang out with it. Like, dude, we were supposed to be in Europe at Fully Charged Live. Like we were supposed to be hanging out with our good friend, Dan Markham, at his house in Utah to see his new dream. Like we had the most epic adventures lined up where you and me were going to be kicking it for like 2 or 3 straight weeks, going from like different places in the United States to Europe for a whole week with our great friends, the Tesla community there, which we've never gotten to visit like that. It was going to be an epic week-long Tesla Starman tour, and it all just got canceled. It was like, no, I hate everything right now. I'm just going to eat and drink my feelings.
Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit. I think the main thing that
what came out of the back hungry. That's why he's switching gears.
I know, dude. The main big news that came out of the earnings call, of course, Elon kind of refocused us on Battery Day. And the tidbits that he released during earnings call is that he said to expect Battery Day to happen towards the end of May. So we're probably like 2-3 weeks out. It kind of now sounds like I think it had to do with the fact that he wasn't sure if the Fremont factory and the Tesla facilities in California would be opened up by then. But he said he mentioned Texas being a potential location for this event. So now we got this, like, we know it's going to be towards the end of May. But the thing that really like resonated with me, Elon said that this Battery Day is going to be probably one of the most historic announcements in Tesla's history.
Yeah, let's talk about that because like this was easy to skip over. In fact, we didn't even talk about it at all in our coverage of the call. The biggest moment in Tesla history. Guys, if Elon's saying this is not a joke. This is mean they have reached an engineering feat that the rest of the world hasn't. Let's talk about the date real quick, though, before we talk about what that's going to be. I don't think it's going to be the end of May because the last week of May is the Crew Dragon launch. And I don't see them lining up with that at all. So I think it's either going to be the second to last week of May or in early June. And I'm guessing it's going to be more like early June because there's no way in the same week Elon's going to try and pull off Battery Day with all the demands needed for delivering on the first manned commercial flight for Crew. Like, this is going to be SpaceX's moment. Like, this is the first time in 10 years the United States puts astronauts into space. Nothing can go wrong. These astronauts have to successfully and safely get to the ISS. And
There's
I
two
guarantee you,
astronauts, right?
yep,
Okay.
I guarantee in
Uh,
the week leading up to this, he's going to be lasered on. But let's talk
and
about that. Let's go back though to like this biggest moment in Tesla history.
before you
What
do
do you,
that, hold on. Before you do that, get people that are listening that want to see this launch. It's May 27th. If you go to SpaceX.com, you'll be able to watch it live. So just FYI, if the people do want to see that, if you want to see this historic event for SpaceX, because I'm sure we have people that listen that are also SpaceX as well as Tesla fans. So I just wanted to put that out there.
you got to watch this launch. It's going to be amazing. Also, Starman's going to be there, so that's going to be pretty cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so now let's get into it. Battery Day 2020. So now you're thinking early June or after the SpaceX launch.
I do. I think it's going to be early June. I think events are going to lead it so that it's early June. 100%.
It's definitely so. I don't take Elon's comment lightly. If he's saying this is going to be one of the most historic announcements or a big day for Tesla, that means they're about to announce something that's a step change, like something like 10x what they're doing at this point, like something massive.
This is a full factor improvement. This is an exponential change.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking at this and I'm looking at like Tesla's lineup and all that, I'm like, okay, we know about the Roadster. Next gen Roadster is supposed to have over 600 miles of range at freeway speeds. I look at the Semi. I look at the Cybertruck. It's going to have this crazy amount of 500 plus mile range for this vehicle that's an absolute tank. And what's missing from what Tesla has right now to be able to deliver on that? That's obviously going to be a super significant increase in energy density in battery cells. And I'm like, well, how do they figure that out? I'm like, well, they've made a number of acquisitions, right? They've acquired Highbar, they've acquired Maxwell. And what is all that going to lead to? I think Tesla is going to have not completely fully, but very closely gotten close to what is the holy grail in this space, and that's the solid state battery. I think they have developed a battery that increases energy density between 30 and 50% of what they even have on their best batteries today, and also starts eliminating some of the thermal challenges they have. I mean, Elon said this is the biggest moment in the company's history. Yeah. And this is like the greatest engineer of our time. Like, I feel like even the best that we can guess doesn't even scratch the surface because we don't even know enough to know what we're guessing at. But what do you think, Edward Beck?
I agree with you. If we go back to the car lineup, I think you and I actually had this discussion a couple of days ago, but I think this new battery, let's call it like battery 2.0, just so we're like talking this, whatever Elon announces, let's call that the battery 2.0, the solid state battery. I think the first car that this will go into is going to be the Cybertruck, and then followed by the Roadster. Okay. I think another big thing that he's going to announce, in addition to this, like that's mind blowing in itself. That hey, we're basically like stepping up the game. This is a solid state battery. I think in addition to that, what Elon is going to cover is, it makes sense with timing. I think this rumored battery the Gigafactory in Texas is actually going to be, and he's referred to it on Twitter as not a Giga but a Terafactory, right? You've seen some of that.
Yes, and you know what helps make that happen? You do the same amount of volume as the factory is the same size, same amount of volume, but the density is higher.
Yes.
I think that was a clear giveaway. Yeah. Because like if you were to go with the existing batteries to go from Giga to Tera, I mean, that's a 10x increase, right? But how are you going to do that? Oh, same number of cells can store way more energy.
Exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. I think there's a few massive announcements. So it's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. I think number one is going to be that we're switching to this new unheard of solid state technology, which the density will be like in the realm that you're talking about, which improves efficiency and range by a massive amount. Second, I think what Tesla is going to announce is that they're now, not that they're going to sever their relationship with Panasonic. I think they're about to add on capacity, like battery production, that like they will bring that in-house with everything that you mentioned, all these companies they've been slowly acquiring. So I think the Giga Texas or Terra Texas is going to be not only this massive factory that produces Cybertruck and Model Y for the East Coast, but I think it's going to be this centralized area where they're going to be producing this, they're going to bring that stuff in-house.
So let's jump into what this means for Tesla owners for S, X, Y, and 3. I
Mm-hmm.
know there's going to be a bunch of people that are like, oh my God, like this means the Model S is going to have 500 miles range and they're going to make like a 600. Like, unfortunately, guys, I think very clearly the answer to this is going to be no. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see any way that these batteries can filter down to the S3, X, and Y on initial production, because here's why. One, they're selling these cars at a great amount of scale already. But two,
Mm-hmm.
they're battery constrained already. Like when it comes to selling the power walls, they actually limit the amount of power walls each customer can buy, because if they want to be able to serve more customers, instead of like, they don't want one customer to buy 5 power walls, because instead they could have had 3 customers who buy 2 power walls, 2 power walls, and 1 power wall. So they are already supply constrained on batteries. I don't think they could possibly scale up this new technology fast enough to actually replace the batteries on the S3, X, and Y. I think it's very clear that these are going to be the new batteries that get produced for the Cybertruck, for the Roadster, maybe even the Semi, because they have to add a significant amount of capacity to meet that demand. So as much as it would be nice to have this tech on the existing cars, it doesn't make sense. Let's be honest, the Model S getting almost 400 miles of range, and apparently will once the EPA testing gets redone. Guys, do you really need a car that goes 500 miles on a charge? The data on this says that the average American, less than 1% of their trips have to do with over even 200 miles. Yeah. We're talking more than 2.5 times that. So I think there is no, like, I think even the plaid version of the Model S that comes out, we don't see this battery tech on it.
I agree. And go back in time, like you and I have been to every unveil for the past however many years, right? The 2 times I remember when I was scratching my head being like, well, when they announced range, I was like, wait, what? Like, it seemed like he was talking about something technology that didn't exist. Number one, the first time I ever had that shock reaction was when the Roadster comes out and he said over 600 miles of range. And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, at a minimum 200 kilowatt hour battery in today's tech or whatever, right? But I wasn't thinking, oh, they could maybe, the battery tech could change completely. And then the other one was Cybertruck, the fully loaded tri-motor, bad boy, plaid mode Cybertruck, he said is close to 500 miles of range. So those are the 2 times when Elon has mentioned, and they're both kind of like these cars that haven't come out yet, right? So that's what makes me believe that that's why battery day is going to be this massive thing. There is this like thing that we don't know about yet. That's probably the batteries that are going into Cybertruck and Roadster are things that are not out there yet. This is not today's technology.
And at least when it came to Roadster, when they first announced the Roadster, I immediately was like, okay, this has to be based on battery tech that doesn't exist, because the Roadster is smaller than the Model S, and it's somehow going to have twice the amount of energy density. Like, there's no way that they found enough space to stack 2 Model S things. It would make the car too heavy. There would be no space inside the vehicle. So I was like, okay, clearly they're talking about a battery technology that isn't here yet. So like, I'm sure, I guarantee you the battery that was in that car was not 200 kilowatts. Yeah. I do believe that what they're going to ultimately ship will be 200 kilowatts. But I know there's no way that car had a 200 kilowatt battery. But they knew they could deliver it roughly in the time frame they were making the car. And I think we're going to find out in this Tesla battery day that they're here to make good on their promises.
Yep. I think the third final big thing that I think will be announced, and we've heard rumors of this, is the 1,000,000-mile battery, right? So Elon's high-level dream in the next year, he said by the end of 2020, full self-driving should get to a point where you can, a Tesla customer will be able to leave their house and the car will drive you to work and back, right? To the office and back. But like in the year, late 21, late 22, if FSD gets to a point, like I'm talking robo-taxi and all that kind of stuff, a big part of all that, granted, okay, you put a lot more miles in these cars and all that, but the batteries have to hold up, right?
Yeah, I mean, the batteries currently are already expected to last people over 500,000 miles, but hitting that 1,000,000-mile mark is such an incredible milestone, and just another death nail in the internal combustion engine. Like a 1,000,000-mile vehicle, which for a car, the battery is the equivalent of an engine, is just.
Yeah. So those are the top 3 things that I think are pretty obvious. Let's speculate. Like, if you had to. Do you think there'll be something that comes out of left field that we're just like, oh my God, we didn't expect?
I think this, like, unlike the Cybertruck, when people were like the last couple unveils, which is both Model Y and Cybertruck, where people were projecting the and one more thing, because Tesla did that with the Semi and the Roadster. I think there's going to be something like this at this unveil, but it's not going to be a new car. It's not going to be a new product. It's going to be a technology advancement. It's going to be something that, like, I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah, they've been gearing up for a while and doing a lot of R&D into this. So yeah, I think something's going to come out of this that we don't expect. I don't know that we're going to get any details on Plaid, because initially they did a long time ago talk about battery and powertrain day. They've clearly split that up. The powertrain day isn't going to come until end of this year or early next year, which is great. I love having more Tesla events because it's a chance for all of us 11s to get together. So I think there will be some sneak peeks. I think they will talk a bit about Cybertruck production and probably give us some insights of when we can expect that to happen. And if he doesn't talk about that, either you or me are going to pose that question.
Yeah. I think one more, like a Steve Jobs, I got one more surprise for you moment that is very relevant to battery. So imagine like they announced this, exactly what we discussed, solid state, the cooling is like next generation, all that. What if Elon comes on stage and is like, oh, we also have been secretly working on supercharging 4.0, where with this battery pack in the future, you'll be able to charge in less than 5 minutes, 0 to 100.
So that is a great call, because I do believe this new battery technology is going to be able to charge even faster than the existing ones, because like that's part of what they do. If they made a more resilient, more reliable battery and better advanced technology battery, that I do expect it's going to be able to charge faster. And maybe it's not even that it necessarily charges at a higher kilowatt, but that it can accept that full 250 much longer. Because that's part of the thing right now is when you plug like a Model 3 in, you get to 250 kilowatts, but only for a few minutes. As you get past like 10, 15, 20%, it starts declining. Imagine if you could charge at that 1,000 miles per hour the entire time. Well, on a Cybertruck, you could go from like 0 to near 80 or 90% in 10 minutes. So that's the key. It's how long can it sustain those high levels of charge? And I expect this battery is going to be able to handle a lot higher level of kilowatts up to a much higher percentage of battery state.
Because with the best batteries that Tesla makes right now is the ones in the Model 3. And I think what they touted is 0 to 85% charge in 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking is like, I guess let's assume Cybertruck is the first car where this new solid state batteries go into. If Elon comes out there and says something like less than 5 minutes, less than 3, I don't know, like even less than 5 minutes,
honestly,
all of a
even
sudden
doing 0 to 80% in 10 or 15 minutes is amazing.
It's huge. Yeah.
It takes way longer than that. I wouldn't made a video about this, by the way. It takes me like 30 minutes in my Raven Model S to go from 10% to 80%. Yeah. And the Model 3, it's a bit faster. It can be in the 20s, but going from 0, like you can get 0 to 100 miles very quick, but 0 to 80%, which is like 280, 290 miles, that takes a bit longer. So if this is even 15 minutes or 10 minutes, that's game changing. That means like you don't even think about it. You stop to go to the bathroom, plug in. It doesn't even matter if you're inside 5 minutes. You come back out, you've got more than enough range to go a couple 100 miles down the road.
Yeah. And those of you guys watching on YouTube, you saw Eli and my speculation. We covered the top 3 things. And then we both kind of threw out the little 1+ things. If you guys have any comments, comment below what you think to expect. And we'll capture all these notes. And after Battery Day, we have a little surprise for you guys after Battery Day, by the way. We're going to bring on some special guests and talk about the significance of Battery Day. And would love to get some feedback from you guys and comment below what you guys are expecting for Battery Day.
And we actually talked about bringing them on for this episode, but we realized that we might risk getting them in trouble by having this conversation before Battery Day. So we're not going to bring them on till after. But I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show. If you love what you're doing, please subscribe to us on whatever your podcast app is and comment on what we're doing on social media. We'd really love your feedback. And also, as a final note, thank you so much to EvanX for being such a great supporter of us and all that you guys do for the Tesla community. We appreciate you guys so much, and we can't wait to have you on to tell your story of how you became part of this Tesla Geek community.